My name is Rafiq Wazan, and this is nothing but that sports talk. Welcome to another episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. It's Women's History Month, and I got a special guest over here, Donni Blackwall, who actually does the freelance journalism. Welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you?
Doing great. Why don't we start a little bit about how your journey in sports started?
I knew that I wanted to be a sports journalist when I was 14 years old. I think Aaron Andrews on TV. It was like the summer right before I went to high school. And I didn't know what she was doing at first. I didn't know what a reporter was. I didn't know like anything about it. I was an athlete since the age of 6, so I was always interested in sports. At that time, I was doing like competitive cheerleading. Um, and then I was going to transition into high school cheer, but I ended up running track. So I was always like involved in sports. I actually played soccer as well a little bit. And I just started focusing on writing and my journalistic skills throughout high school. I took journalism classes on top of all of my engineering courses. And when I got to college, I focused on mass communications, film, and things like that, and just doing interviews. I started my own podcast just to show like my interest in it.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty interesting, and the fact that you're like a little example of somebody that's actually doing whatever she can to start a career, even while running track and field.
Yeah, so I ran track from like 10th grade. I graduated in 2020, so I graduated during the pandemic, which is why I started my podcast. I felt like it was super important for me to, show my work ethic before I was able to step foot on a college campus. So whenever I was ready to like join a program or like I joined the newspaper at my first school, which was Towson University. Um, when I like got interviewed to join, I wanted to show them that I was like eager. So I decided just to do the podcast during the pandemic. It's called She's Got the Lead. So it started off with just me and my dad in our dining room. I had a camera, I had some lights. I also had a lash business. So I had like the ring lights and I had the whole setup and we would just talk about anything that was going on during the week, especially during football season is when we gained the most traction. It also helped me learn to like become a producer and on-air talent, executive producer. It just taught me everything and it also allowed me to get my voice out there.
Yeah, you mentioned you brought up a good point about getting your voice out there. I mean, what's like the old mindset of having to get your voice out there in all these different avenues?
I think that when you're in sports, you already know it's super competitive. Everybody has access to almost the same thing. It's not like how it was back then where, you were granted opportunities, but like who you know and things like that, like who you may run into at your university. Like the people before us, like Stephen A. Smith, they probably had a harder time like getting to the places that they are now. But I think personally that this younger generation is more competitive because we have way more access to just getting our voices out there easier, like social media. Anybody can sit and buy the equipment to do a podcast. Um, so it's important to get your voice out there because everybody is kind of starting on the same level as far as having social media access. So when you're consistent and you're, finding your niche, it's like that's what's going to get you recognized, I feel like, since everybody's kind of on the same playing field almost.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. I mean, it doesn't really matter how you start. I mean, it's a matter of like what field that you're actually working towards. At the
Hmm.
end of the day, it's about your own satisfaction. Never mind the statistics and chances of getting in
Hmm.
with where you start. It's about what you do with it.
Yeah. It's like just about showing your passion because like I was telling you earlier, I'm not huge on like, basketball. I'm more like a football, track. I would even do cheerleading because I don't it's not a sport yet, but like I do Olympic sports. I don't know why I can't get into basketball like that. I don't know. I've tried. I used to be a big basketball fan when I was like younger, but as I grew older and the league started to change, I kind of just became uninterested. But yeah, it's really just about your passion. And like when you have a passion for it, you're really just gonna go out there and put your best foot forward. And that's what I try to do, daily. I just graduated in December. And, everybody knows what the workforce is looking like right now. It's very scarce, especially, you know, in the news realm, because some people may want to start with news and sports. Teams are not hiring. It's, low paying. So it's just, it's some days have been harder than others, as far as like the post grad journey. It can get discouraging just a little bit, but I'm grateful that I do have this freelance opportunity because it's allowing me to work on my journalistic skills and not so much on just reporting, video, film, and things like that. It's allowing me to build a larger portfolio and become like more versatile.
Yeah, versatility is very important, especially when you get to work with platforms that you're working at right now. And it's also important that you should not wait for your yes. And clearly,
Mhm.
you didn't wait for your yes when you started your podcast.
Yeah, I think like you said, not waiting for a yes. Like you gotta go out there and take it. Like no matter what your profession is, you gotta go out there and take it. I think that mindset for me comes from me being an athlete myself, and that's why I have that go-getter attitude. I never was really the type of person that somebody had to tell to like go out here and do your best. I was always the person who was like a leader, who always was a self-starter. Like I just never wanted to sit and wait around on anybody. Like I started a podcast. I think I was 18, 19 when I started it. And then I had a lash business. I started my own business at 17, and I was still doing that like through my senior year of high school, all the way up until like I graduated college. I did stop. But yeah, it's like you have to go out there and like find it because I think there's so many avenues that you can go in this industry, and you just have to sit and find what's best for you. I think that's something that I'm doing now, coming out of college. Professors will try to tell like the sports people, who want to be sports reporters, you should focus on news. You got to be versatile. You got to be behind the camera. You got to be a producer. You got to be a floor manager. You got to learn how to do everything just in TV. And some people will sit and be like, well, I just want to be on air. Or I just want to be a reporter. I want to just do sports.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it's not. And I was one of those people when I first got to college, I was like, "Oh, I would just want to be on camera. I just want to be on camera." But when I learned like the ins and outs of being behind the camera, it helped me know how I would like to look on camera. It just allowed me to become better. And again, just finding which way that I will get my foot in the door, whether that's working for a news station or working for a sports team, or like right now, I'm a writer. The newspaper that I work for is called Next Pittsburgh. They never even focused on sports. And they hired me knowing that I like sports, and I was open to transitioning into like doing stuff like theater, Pittsburgh public schools, and now they're allowing me to write about sports. So you just never really know which way you'll get your foot in the door.
You really don't. And it's that mindset. And as a CEO, you see you were recognized in Black History Month like a couple months ago. Talk about a quick rise after being a graduate from Pittsburgh. I know you just say you went to Lincoln for track and field, but it says you also went to Pittsburgh for female film and media. What was that experience like?
Yeah, so actually I had a offer from Lincoln for track and field. So I started off at Towson University. I just went there because, the pandemic kind of impacted how my outdoor season went my senior year. So I just went to a school that was in state, and I transferred there after my sophomore year, which was also my first year on campus. Um, I just felt like I wasn't getting what I needed, like the resources, because it is a smaller state school. So I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My parents were born and raised there too, so my whole family's there. And I was like, well, I need to transfer. That's a bigger, larger school. I always had this big dream of going to a Power Five school because I'm like, I love football. I love the atmosphere. Like I want to experience a school that gives me that college atmosphere. And I transferred to Pitt. Um, Started there. I ended up having like a lot of success. It's like I just hit the ground running. I went the fall semester of 2022 going into, yeah, fall semester 2022. and I joined the radio station. I was working for Pitt Athletics, like the ACC network. I was just emailing a bunch of people, figuring out how I can get close to like the teams and the SIDs, or that'll allow me to like be on the sidelines and interview people. My first class, I had classes with like a lot of people that were athletes. Like I had one of those large classes. So sometimes I would see them in class and just, introduce myself, let them know who I was. And they were always like open for an interview. So I started bringing them into the radio station, doing interviews like that. And like my first semester at Pitt, I actually got the best award for best radio show. Just, just being there. I knew going to a predominantly white institution, like a larger one at that, because Towson was one too, but it was more diverse because of the area it's in. But going to a PWI such as Pitt, I knew what I wanted. I had to go like harder, 10 times harder than, maybe my peers that were around me. And that's all I wanted to do. Like I ended up winning the best radio show. Then the next semester, they made me the director of the radio. And I'm like, whoa, I've only been here for like a couple of months and I already got the job to become in charge of everybody. And it made me, I think, the first Black woman to hold that position at the university. Then I also became the first Black woman at the university to like anchor our TV show that we have at the school too, called Pit to the Point. So it was like a TV show that we would do. We go live on news stations, and just being in those higher positions, those higher places than most would want to be, it allowed me to like gain so much exposure to other opportunities. People would reach out to me. I would walk around the city and people would like know who I was, and I'm like, oh wow, this is pretty cool. Like I felt like I really made my mark at Pitt. So it was super beneficial for me.
I mean, what you expect? You doing all this hard work at a school that's not that's like literally white dominance, and take it for somebody that actually been to school, that actually got a master's degree from a school that's predominantly white dominant. And in any other schools before that, there's at least there's like at least a chunk of African Americans like ourselves walking
Mhm.
around campus and being students. I mean, as you probably already saw, this is my background, so I don't need background in my social media, so I don't think I need to elaborate on what I was doing there and what I'm doing right now. But that's more to the point. You found your start. And now
Hmm.
it's leading to all those recognition. You got to be part of the e-board and you start your own show. If you describe a chapter of your life, like what would you think about it?
The most recent chapter, one word I would put it into, let me see. I would say like successful. When I first started 2 years ago, um, well, 3 years now. When I first went back to Pitt, like in 2022, I had no idea what to expect. I literally took a leap of faith. My parents weren't even super sure. They wanted me to go back home and be around my family. And like, was I going to get distracted? Was I not going to focus? Was I going to want to stay in the city? And as I started, like getting things done around there, they were both like, yeah, you made the perfect like decision. We all started to see it come full circle from when I first stepped foot on campus to, oh, this is sad. But the last time I stepped foot on campus, which was back in December, um, I don't know. I would just call it, yeah, like successful, a full circle moment because I went in there with the mindset that I only had 2 years left in school. I had to make the best of it. This was a larger school. It was something that I've never dealt with. I've never even lived in the city. Like I live in Maryland, like near DC, but I live in like, a neighborhood, it's the suburbs. So it was just a huge adjustment for me. And I think that I did everything I needed to do to say that like I accomplished all of my goals. One of my biggest goals too was to be the reporter that everybody trusted, that will want to come if something negative were to happen to them, they will want to come to me to help clear their story. I never wanted to be the reporter to put out bad press or bad media about anybody. I was successful at that. I felt like I've gained the trust from multiple athletes that were involved in Pitt athletics from like football, basketball, track, whatever the case may be. So, yeah, it was just super successful.
Yeah, I could only imagine. And I kind of get a feeling about that now because, well, as you kind of already see in my background, all the events I covered, all the schools I went to where I got my journalism start, and now I'm nearly back in school doing a third degree at St. John's University. Me, and pretty much back to the thick of things from doing play-by-play and radio hosting at campus for their campus radio station, and then doing stuff for campus TV station. Which and looking around my TV stations, I'm thinking it's way different from the campus media affiliates of my previous schools I went to, which is LIU Brooklyn and Fordham University, but more to the points.
Yeah.
It never hurts to start. And yeah, you may not get the same accomplishments other people get based on your degree and what you're doing, but the fact of the matter is, you're getting opportunities to work for them.
Yeah. I feel like because actually Pitt isn't a huge broadcasting school. We're still working on our program. You know, the big journalism schools are like Syracuse, Northwestern, Arizona, and there, oh, Temple's a good one too. They have like that broadcasting name, and coming out of school, actually, I was like stuck. I'm like, did I make the wrong choice? Like, I had so much success at Pitt, but I'm not getting the recognition that I thought I would get or the recognition I was getting, back in the city of Pittsburgh. So, that first month or so, like January, was really discouraging for me because I'm just like getting flustered. I just thought that I put in so much work in school that people would be knocking down on my door to like hire me as a reporter. And, I had to sit back and think like, well, I did put in the work, but you just have to kind of, be patient because I didn't come from those large journalism schools where they have people who will come in and literally just, hire them. I may have to work again, like when I first got to Pitt, I will have to work a little bit harder just because I didn't come from like a large media school. And I've been doing that. Recently, I've just started to kind of put myself out there a little bit more. I've been finding local stories around my neighborhood. I live like near the Commander Stadium. So I've been finding things about news. I'm not really into the whole politic thing. So like sports, news stories, like public transportation. My parents both, work. So things around their jobs and stuff like that. I've just been finding local stories, going out there, recording, networking's a large part. It really doesn't matter where you start either. I've learned that as well. It's all about who you know. And I've been putting myself out there, literally, LinkedIn, whatever. I'll do any podcast. Like it's all about who you know.
Yeah, it's about who you know. And I've interviewed a lot of prior to you, I've interviewed a lot of people that came from schools that came from schools, including schools that are not even as big as schools you mentioned, or Fordham University or St. John's. And
Mhm.
they found their way into the door. And you know what? I've had friends that didn't even go to college that are doing journalism right now.
Right.
So you're not alone on this.
Yeah, I mean, you see it all the time, like Stephen A. Smith, he went to an HBCU. That was very, especially in his time, that was very rare. A lot of people, I'm trying to think of who else went to a smaller school. He's pretty
Shannon
much,
Sharp,
yeah, I mean, he played, football, so he had that advantage a little bit, but they had the media training, but like an actual journalist who really had to work their way up from like a really small school, especially in HBCU around that time that he was doing it. And just to see how successful he is, like he's sitting next to people who probably he went to Winston-Salem. He's sitting next to people who probably went to University of Miami or I don't know where Molly went. I forgot where she went to
Molly
school.
went to Connecticut.
Yeah, okay. See, those are those large media schools like Connecticut's connected to ESPN. So it's like it's all just different routes. And I keep reminding myself, my path is my path and it's gonna clear up as time goes on. It's still a little blurry. I'm still just writing right now, and just doing my own thing, but I know for a fact that something will come soon.
Yeah, something will come soon as long as you keep saying your reps to the right people. And hey, you were good enough to be interviewed on Courtney Harden's podcast. So we thought was going to happen. And you know what? You really got to try and cover sports outside of what you know already. And obviously, you're a track and field athlete. You should try to cover some track and field. In New York
Yeah.
City, and obviously, I've seen you been to New York City. There's this place called the Armory.
Yep, I used to run track up there. We used to
Oh,
have
okay.
there every year.
What was that? What was that experience like for you running the Armory? I've interviewed the announcer from Armory, by the way. Who also went to my alma mater.
Oh, really? Oh my God. Well, tell him that is the hardest track to
Well,
ever.
actually, I'll tell her.
Oh, yes, tell her it's the
She,
hardest
she
track.
actually, she actually announced, does announcing at the Armory, New York City, where you ran track at. So yeah, it's a good environment from what I'm told. I've never been there, but I know people. But I've had friends that had track and field or
Yeah.
background that went to the cover events there or announcers events there. So I kind of have that idea.
Yeah,
What was that environment like for you?
it's a great environment. I think it's called like New Balance. So, that's a big name when you speak track and field. They will also hold indoor nationals there. It is a hard track to run on though. I cannot lie because it curves up as you go. The curve in the track is not straight. It's like on this big platform. So if you have like the higher lanes, you have to work more because you have to get around that sharp curve without, falling. I don't know. You have to kind of look. There's been a lot of like accidents, like people would just fall because it is like a tricky track to run on, but it's also one of the best tracks I feel like you can make your name. You know, um, every track is different. So I only experienced running like on the actual curve probably like 3 times. I was a short sprinter, so I was blessed to be able to run straight on, regular ground for like the 60 meter, and I was also a jumper. Their pit is really good. I think I had one of my first like personal best as a sophomore, like at that in that pit for a long jump. So it was one of my favorite ones, but it is a difficult track to run on. It's very difficult. And it's super crowded in there.
Yeah, what you expect? You're an aspiring athlete, being able to run track at one of the biggest track and field spots in New York City.
Yeah.
And then you also have econ where athletics take place. Because lots of hardcore women's sports fans they would go to a track and field events, especially
Hmm.
seeing women like Shakiri, Shakiri Richardson and Gabby Thomas and and Brittany Brown, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, track and field I think it's one of those sports that are very underrated. That's why I kind of want to focus on that too, maybe finding my niche there. Because when you think about it, you only kind of see track when it's an Olympic year. Nobody really focuses on what they do in between. I don't think they get the recognition they deserve as athletes. And of course, it's not a team sport. It's somewhat an individual sport, but from experience, track and field is one of the hardest sports like ever. The way that you have to train just to, running is a natural thing, but you have to train harder just to become faster. The type of training that you're required to do is completely, different than what you expect. Like when you're a kid, you think you're like the fastest person. Well, I used to think like that. Like I was a fast kid. In elementary school, middle school, I would race all the boys. I would win. I would do that. I get to high school, I'm just like, okay, well, I quit cheering. I'm like, I bet I can run track. It can't be that hard. It's hard. I thought I was
you
so
think that
fast
way.
till you like actually have to see the training. I never even thought about doing jumps because you got to be tall. I'm not tall at all. I'm under 5 feet. I'm 4'11". So um but I knew I had the experience from cheerleading. I'm like, I think I can do this. And I just had that mindset. I'm like, I can jump. Like it can't be that hard. And my coaches, they told me no. They were like, no, you have to just run. They wanted me to just be a short sprinter because, the way I was built, I was shorter. And I just did it one day. And my jump coach, he was like, oh yeah, like you gotta stay. And I ended up, becoming, I think before my junior year, I was like ranked in 4A in the state, in Maryland. I think like top 10. I made top 10 at states too. Almost, I was going into my senior year to kind of make it to nationals, but then COVID happened. But I started, getting offers from schools, smaller D1 schools, D2 schools, just things that I never even seen myself, receiving because I was a cheerleader. I just never thought that I would be able to go to college like on a scholarship because I thought I would cheer till I was the age of 18, but life took a turn and took another turn because I didn't go to school for anything. But yeah, track is just it's a different breed. I wish that it got the recognition that it deserves. I think too with Michael Johnson's new league that it will, because these athletes like they really do. They put in the work and they don't, just play for a team like a state. They play for the world, like they run for the world. So I think we need to kind of treat them differently.
Exactly. And it's all about hard work ethics, hard work ethics that people like me never even had the mindset to do. I mean, the part of me, half of me thinks it's like, oh, all you do is run around, lead for six. No, it's not.
Mm-mm.
I learned from people that had track and field careers. No, it's not.
Yeah, it's difficult, it's different because sometimes when it comes to track, you're not even running against other people, you're really running against the clock. And time is like that. So track it's a different beast. It really is. But it's one of those sports that I just feel like is super underrated, like year round. Nobody even really knows where it lands. It's not televised. Like I believe it's indoor nationals right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I haven't seen it on TV, you just see it on social media. They can run in bigger arenas. They can run in arenas like they do in the Olympics year round. I think that they should, but it's just they don't have the space for it right now. And I was talking earlier about finding your niche. If track is the route that I gotta go to kind of get my start, then I'll do that. I think that's why it's super beneficial like for me that I was able to kind of do all of these sports when I was younger because a lot of people don't know about the competitive cheer world either and that's a different world too. And now when I was younger, I used to watch it on TV. It was televised. Now it was never a sport and it's still not, but when you actually have to do it, it's difficult. And I think it's actually kind of going downhill a little bit in my opinion from where it used to be when I was a child. So if that's an area that I would take over competitive cheerleading, maybe get that televised, and that's something that I would want to do too. The industry is very small. A lot of women are in basketball, a lot of women are in football too. But why not get women in these sports that they're already allowed to, compete in? Like cheerleading is majority women, track and field, women. There's not even that many women who report on it, who speak on it. So, yeah, those are two things that I'm kind of interested in getting into.
Yeah, you have to. Especially since this year they're about to start this event called the Grand Slam track and field events. It's going to be broadcasted on NBC, and some of the events are one of the events is taking place in Philadelphia this later this year, which is like literally how far away Philadelphia is from Pittsburgh when you went there.
Oh, Pittsburgh and Philly, for them to be in the same state, they're 5 hours away. I actually live closer in Maryland, where's where I'm at right now, to Philly, which is only 2 hours. But Pittsburgh and Philly are 5 hours away, which is probably why they have like the biggest beef because they're in the same state, but they are two completely different places.
Yeah, completely different places.
Yeah, because if you ask them about us, they're not too fond of Pittsburghers and vice versa, but we can't say nothing right now. They did win the Super Bowl.
I was going to get into that. I mean, obviously, Pittsburgh Steelers has some winning Super Bowl history. The Steelers they won some Super Bowls. They have the most Super Bowls in this era.
Well, it-
It may not matter now with the Eagles winning two, but come
I
on now.
mean, yeah, you gotta respect history, but the stuff we're going through now, man, and the rate that these other younger teams are going at, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, how he was. Like them six Super Bowls kind of not meaning nothing right now. It's kind of like when you talk about the Chicago Bears or like the Cowboys. Can't keep going off of, you know. I mean, history always is good to speak about, but right now I'm one of those people. I need something to happen ASAP. We're not doing anything. They are very frustrating right now. Like,
Yeah. The
can't keep
Pittsburgh Steelers.
going off of what we had. Like, what are we gonna do now?
Yeah. What's your favorite NFL team?
The Steelers. That's why I'm so
Oh,
frustrated.
yeah, you made the playoffs, so you lost in the first round, I believe.
Oh, it's been like that since I was the last time I seen us go to a Super Bowl, I think I was 10. I'm 23.
Hey, listen, I was 14 years old. I was 14 years old when they won the Super Bowl against the Seahawks in 2006, and then they won again in 2009 against the Arizona Cardinals. I
And
was
we
I was
went to,
17 years old that year.
yeah, we went to it was 2011 then because we went. I remember me and my parents, well, my parents, they threw a big party and it was against the Packers. We lost.
Hmm.
That was literally before I even knew how football worked. I just knew that we lost. And that was the last time. I think the league is changing, and I just think that we're somewhat behind. Um, you know, now it's like the black quarterback, the running quarterback. That's what it is. And we still want that in the pocket type of quarterback. That's why we keep going out here getting these veterans. And we have the receiving core, and I understand that's why they probably want a quarterback that's actually, accurate, wants to stay in the pocket. But it's like the proof is in the pudding. You see it working for other teams. Why not take a chance? I think we're a little too old school because when anybody talks about the Pittsburgh Steelers, the first thing they say is like about our organization, the way we ran. And over time, like over the years, yeah, we're one of the best organizations, but we are still stuck in that. Like the early 2000s, the 90s, we're just still stuck. We're not, it's like you're not opening your eyes to really see what's out there, to see the potential of what we could have. Because just like in the real world, things change. Things, they innovate. We gotta take a chance on a younger guy. I think the Steelers really, I think we're afraid to, we're getting caught up in that no losing season that we're afraid to maybe just have like a refresh as a organization. I think personally we should have just took a chance on Justin Fields because even with him, he was still a veteran. He was just a younger guy. And that could have been a nice rebuild for us. But you want to go and get Mason Rudolph? Again, the proof is in the pudding. It never worked. Mason Rudolph, we drafted him, I think. What year was it? Maybe like 2019, maybe, or maybe around that time. We had Mason Rudolph on our roster for a long time, and you still went back. It's like we're a caregiver, like we're a care package. You keep bringing the boys back together. No, let them go. Do something else. It's very frustrating.
Yeah. The only reason why I don't talk much or get the Pittsburgh Steelers some slack because at the very least they've been making the postseason. I mean, you ran into a very solid Baltimore Ravens team led by Lamar Jackson, but the fact of the matter is you've had a postseason appearance while my favorite team, New York Giants, we haven't won since 2011,
I mean, yeah, but when
and
you're
we just picked
from,
and we just picked up Jameis Winston. I'm
that's
kind of pissed
better
about
than,
that.
I think he'll do good with Malik Neighbors. But like when you're from Pittsburgh, I don't know if you've ever been, but it's
No, I've
literally
never been there.
We call ourselves the City of Champions. We have three major sports teams: baseball, football, and hockey. Hockey team, football team, champions. Baseball team makes some work.
Yeah, the Penguins had some Stanley Cup success.
Yeah, so it's like if you're coming from the City of Champions, you can't play at this level forever. Something's got to change. And that's why the city, the fans, everybody's getting so frustrated because they know what we look like when we want to win. Most of this generation has seen it when we have been win a Super Bowl. Like my dad seen it. Like he's seen it. And you gotta go through the years and it's progressively getting worse. It's like it's frustrating. Or like people like me who are growing up and seeing Ben, at the end of his career, you're thinking, we got a good coach, we could get back there. And it's like we're just not.
You're just not. I mean, but everything has a stepping stone. I mean, well, you had Russell Wilson carry the load when you're not using Justin Fields, and I don't know what would they think. I mean, Russell Wilson's still good. He's
Yeah, but
serviceable, but he's not what he used to be when he was in Seattle.
exactly, being just a caregiver,
Yeah,
like I can't take it. So I don't know what we're gonna do because they're not interested in Russell and we let go of Justin Fields. I don't
yeah. But while we're on the subject of talking about some football, what are some of your favorite Pittsburgh Steelers moments that you witnessed from when you started watching?
ooh. I mean, the San Antonio Holmes catch was a good one. I didn't watch that live though. I think I was too young. Some that I witnessed. Oh, what year was that? I don't even remember the year. But we were playing the Ravens. I think it was to make it to either the playoffs or maybe the second round. I don't remember. But it was when we had Antonio Brown and he reached over the goal line literally to get us that last touchdown. And I believe we won the game that year. Oh my God, I wish I remembered the year. And then another year, I remember I was super frustrated. This is when we had like the biggest rivalry with the Patriots and Tom Brady. Oh my God. When Tom Brady was on the Patriots, I hated his guts. I was young. I didn't respect his game back then. I thought Ben was better. But they would always beat us, literally always beat us. And they beat us one game, and I remember going to school. I was sick, like sick to my stomach. I wanted to cry. I didn't even want to go to school the next day. It was that. I think they cheated though. They like said, I don't know. I think I'm getting them mixed up. But they cheated that game. I do remember. They wasn't giving us, I mean, everybody cheats for Tom Brady, but they weren't giving us this score that we had or like this first down. And I was flustered. I was furious. So some good, some bad, but I mean, we haven't since I've been an adult, we haven't had no good times. I've seen us go 11-0 and be out the first.
And you lost to Washington. Well, they weren't the Washington Commanders yet. They were just Washington football team, but you had an undefeated record and you lost to Washington.
Yep. I remember doing a podcast on that. Waste of time. You know, yeah. I mean, I got to see Big Ben retire. I guess that's a good moment. I actually was supposed to go to that last game. We think we played the Titans. And I had Corona, so I couldn't go.
Oh, yeah, I know that was must have been tough for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, yeah, it was tough defeating Tom Brady. And I should know because my Giants, we had to go through two close games in Super Bowl to win against a Tom Brady led Patriots team.
Yeah, they were vicious. And it's crazy how when he left, like we rarely face them now, which is weird. So I feel like we used to face them. And I used to think that they were in our division as much as we played them. We were always have to
Oh,
go.
they were in a separate division.
Yeah, but that was before I started paying attention to the divisions, as I started learning football like around fifth grade, but I never really paid attention till I got to high school. And like the way that we used to play the Patriots every single year, you would think we were playing them how we played the Ravens. Like I felt like around that era with Tom Brady, I would feel like they were a bigger competition than the Ravens were. Because the Ravens and the Steelers, in that Ray Lewis era, Big Ben era, James Harrison era, like it was it was back and forth. Like I knew we could beat the Ravens. It was just any given Sunday, but I knew they could also beat us. Ben and Joe Flacco going at it, but when it was Ben and Tom Brady, boy, it was always Tom Brady.
Tom Brady's the GOAT for a reason.
Yep. Gotta respect it. Not a fan of him calling games right now, though. He gotta get some more training, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they gave it to him because he was an analyst. And you know what? One of my friends who had a track and field career, she was complaining about how all the athletes they always get all the good jobs, while us who had to work for the gutter and be a journalist, they actually have journalism backgrounds, we're not get we're not always getting what we deserve because the hiring space is so small. While the athletes, there are people that are either athletes or singles that end up being journalists. You didn't have a journalism background at the beginning, so
Yeah.
you only get it because your ability to break down places the coaches run on both ends of the floor.
I mean, as far as play by play, I do respect it. I do think that's where Tony Romo and Tom Brady are like the best. But as far as like, I think my biggest issue would be like the pay, because you're paying these guys who were in the league for years, making millions of dollars, and you give them the opportunity to come in here and in an industry with such a large pay gap between, women and men. You come in and they can have like 1 year of media training on how to be on TV when they were on the other side of it, for so many years. They were the ones getting interviewed. Now they're the ones interviewing and they just have a year of training versus people who go to school for 4 to 6 years to be able to do this. And we have to start off with pennies. I don't agree. As far as them doing play by play, yeah, I respect it. It gives us a different outlook on the game because, athletes' biggest thing is to always say in journalists, oh, you've never played this sport. So, I respect it as far as that because if they criticize you, you can't really say that. But do they get better opportunities than most of us? And I think it's a little bit unfair. Yes, especially like in the NFL. But I can't say that I hate it because some of them are good. Like I love Ryan Clark,
I
Jason
can't either.
Kelsey.
I mean, it's just so entertaining. I mean, I
But
love
Ryan
watching
Clark
these
works
girls.
really hard though. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
He's a harder worker. I can't say that he had an easy route at all. Someone that I connected with told me like they had like a large media training and Ryan Clark like, had like a coach. Like he worked. That's why he is where he is. But as far as like Gronk making random appearances or Tom Brady don't want to play by play. His voice just he doesn't have an attractive voice when it comes to being on TV. Um, who else? I'm not a fan of. I think that's really it. Richard Sherman's okay. I like Richard Sherman. But yeah, I don't hate it, but it is a little unfair, especially because there's so many people who, just want a chance. So many younger people. But that's also the benefit of there being so many different leagues. So it's
Mhm.
a half and half situation for me.
So many different leagues, always half and half. But anyways, as we get closer and closer to the end of Women's History Month, like what does Women's History Month mean to you?
Women's History Month. Whew. I mean, I think it's just us honestly breaking that glass ceiling. I think women work, hard all year round, and a month isn't even large enough to describe how much a woman, deals with. As I'm growing into a young woman, every day I'm just learning myself, you know, learning the struggles, experiencing the struggles of women in the workplace or, women in the household, just defeating all of the stereotypes and, just to be able to have a month that highlights us and all of the work that we put in when for so many years our feelings, our hard work, our passion was disregarded, like, in the past. We had to fight for so many things. I think now the world is finally seeing like how beneficial a woman's, touch is. Like just anything we touch, I feel like will flourish. So I think it's amazing to see.
Yeah, it's definitely amazing to see. I mean, women get celebrated literally every month at every event you go to. So yeah, that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
That goes all the time. Women like you deserve to be celebrated.
Thank you.
All right. Well, now concludes this episode. Nothing but that sports talk. Thank you for stopping by, Donnie.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed myself.
Mm-hmm. Well, for Donnie Blackwall, Rafik Luzon, we'll see you next time.
Bye.